Oh, geez. Who's that?
Someone's calling.
My phone.
Hi, Janice.
Janice, I have a quick question for you. The Friends, their 501c3 was given to Christina when it came to Canva.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
Well, first, can you hear me okay? Because I know there's like audio issues with this thing.
Yeah, it's not as good as it usually is.
All right, hold on. Let me do this. Is this better?
Yeah.
Okay. So, in the past, Christina used, with Friends' permission, a 501c3 for that Canva program, right?
You know, that would be Bernadette.
Bernadette, okay.
Bernadette knows all that stuff.
Okay.
But anyway.
All right, that was my question.
How are you, Margie?
I'm good. How are you, Janice?
I am absolutely exhausted.
Are you?
Carrie and I have been working up at the Foxborough terminals, packing for the Food for Vets. And it's like I now can operate a pallet jack. I'm lifting bins of food. I come home at the end of the day and I'm exhausted, but
wow. It's a very worthy cause.
Yeah, it's fun.
Is that every day?
We go about Kerry committed to, I didn't commit to anything, but I go usually when he goes, and he committed to helping 3 days a week.
Yeah.
Because their main guy for the warehouse had to go back to down the Cape. Yeah, they just need to be 15 years old because it's a warehouse operation. So
I'll find out. I'm thinking he might be 7th or 8th grade, but I don't really know. So we'll find out. Okay.
Alrighty.
Okay.
Sorry, do another business.
That's okay.
Hello, everybody.
Colin, how are you? Manny? Margie, Janice, Christine, and Pam is in the wings. 2-minute warning, says Cable Access.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, Christine.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good to see everybody.
Same.
Nice to have you here, Margie.
We can't hear you, Margie. I think Catherine was going to be a game time arrival here, so.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot. They said phenomena. Muppets.
No,
You
that was
miss your Statler and Waldorf routine, huh?
exactly. I do. I'm at a sense of loss since I didn't get to do that this year.
One minute warning.
We look like we're live.
All right, we are live. Hello, everyone. Time is 7 o'clock. We're called to order for this special meeting. A couple important things to focus on today's trustees meeting. And I think we shall get started. Our first order of business is public input. Manny, any public input?
No public input.
All right. Moving right along. Second item of business is the library director's annual review. On behalf of the trustees, submitted the review of Manny's performance for the past calendar year. And just wanted to say in the meeting publicly, Manny, thank you for your outstanding work over the past year, reflected in your review, really across all areas. And a reflection of your work, but also your team. So, Marty, glad you're on the call as well, because a lot of what we talked about in the review was the great team that Manny works with and the fantastic job that everyone has done throughout the year, but especially over the past, 4 months now, 4 or 5 months as we worked through this crisis. We found new and different and creative ways to engage the community and keep the library a really vital part of Foxborough. So, Manny, again, you should be commended for your great work, as should the whole team. But this is about your review, so thanks for your great work, really across all areas. Anything the rest of the trustees want to add? Yeah, Christine.
I'd just like to say publicly just how fortunate we are to have Manny as our library director and the team that we do have at our library. Not all libraries are as fortunate as we are here in Foxborough. So thank you, Manny. And since Margie is here, thank you, Margie. And please pass along our sincere thanks to each and every staff member, because we are very, very fortunate. Thank you.
Yeah, I would, Colin, if I could, I would second that. I think, Manny, you've done a great job during COVID in particular to keep us informed and keep everything on track and with a real mind towards safety. And I really appreciate that. And, it extends, the library's staff has always been our best resource. And so for Margie and for Kathy and for everybody else that's working with you, we're really fortunate to have you, and we're really fortunate to have each of them as well. So thank you for your leadership and with the great team you have.
I agree, Kevin. Absolutely. And you've all taken it up to another level this year, probably not in a way that we had foreseen or had hoped, but certainly took everything up to the next level. So thank you again. All right. Our third and last item is the update on coronavirus and library operations and the phase 3 reopening plan. Manny, I think we saw your update to the document. If you want to walk and talk us through that, and we can have some discussion and then take a vote if we have quorum.
So Yes, I did send out another update today, and it's highlighted in red. And I have Margie this evening with us to answer any questions when it comes to the children's department. I will say, Margie, actually all the staff have been tremendous throughout this. These are trying times, and you all know that. I'm not telling you anything new. But I think, positive note, I think this has brought the staff closer. I think we were also a resource to one another during this time. I just think we all have the same goal in mind, to get back to normal. Whenever that happens, just take it step by step. But I've been having meetings with Margie and with Kathy Belharney and Kathy Lully and Pam and Betsy as well when it comes to reopening the library, usually when it comes to phases, and their input as well as the entire staff has been tremendous and helpful. But again, Margie's here this evening just to answer any questions when it comes to the children's room. Pauline from the Board of Health did stop by the library yesterday, and I gave her a tour, and Margie gave her a tour of the children's department. And I will say that she was very satisfied with what we had when it came to the shields, when it came to the signage, when it came to the place markers, the removal of a lot of chairs. When you visit this library, there are few and far chairs, especially on the first floor, just so we can practice that social distancing. She did recommend a few items that we didn't think of. One of them on the ground floor, we have multiple stalls in each restroom. To have a sign to allow only one patron in the restroom at a time. So we have those signs up, and then we have place markers outside of the restroom. Our restroom's on the first floor, and then the family restroom is just one stall. So that's fine there. She also recommended having mask breaks for staff. And that's something that she's emphasized, or something that I've emphasized, is staff wear their masks in public. If they're in their work area, in their office, you can take your mask off. But for staff, there will definitely be plenty of mask breaks just to get some fresh air. And I know it gets uncomfortable after a while wearing the mask. I've done it. We've all done it. And Pauline also recommended having place markers outside the building in case we're at capacity and patrons are waiting to enter the building. So that was just a few little items that she recommended. Overall, she was very happy with what we had. I showed her our cleaning and disinfecting schedule and showed her the guidelines as well. And she actually looked up the MDLC checklist as well. So, and we comply with everything that was listed on there. So if you want, I could just go over the guidelines. We're still looking at limiting the hours, Monday through Friday from 10 to 5. And this was recommended as well when it came to the mass COVID-19 checklist. The one thing that I don't have in there that I've been thinking about, and maybe this could be a discussion, is offering maybe an hour on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the vulnerable population to enter the building. So that's a topic for discussion. We'll still continue the curbside service as well. It may be patrons that might be hesitant to enter the building, which is justifiably so. So they can still have their curbside service. Staff will be, doing that. As far as the capacity, so part of the NDLC, and I believe the governor came out with some language in there when it came to capacity that we could have 40%, up to 40% of the capacity in our building, which would come out to 143 patrons in the building, or occupancy of 8 persons per 1,000 square foot, which which would come out to 272. Both of those numbers I feel and staff feel right now at this time is a little too high. Just speaking to other libraries in the sales network, they haven't gone anywhere when it comes to three figures as far as capacity. They're limited to 25 or to 50 or to 75. So what I would like to do when it comes to the phase 3 is once we do open, I'm proposing tonight that we open upon approval next Monday, which I believe will be the 27th of July. For the first week, 10% capacity, which would equal 36 36 people in the building. Now that does include staff. So we're looking at maybe 26, 27, 28 patrons in the building. I know it's a low number, but I thought of that for a few reasons. Number one, I want staff to get their feet wet again, kind of get used to it, because it's a change not only for patrons, but as well as staff. They just need to get accustomed to it. And if it works, then we could increase it to 20%, which would be 72 people in the building. Now, I did put week 1 and week 2 if staff and we run into some issues, maybe we stay at the 10% until we feel confident to get to 20%, which would be 72 people in the building. I didn't want to go anything higher yet because I just want to see how everything goes. And like I said, no other library in the sales network is going really high when it comes to Seacon's an example. They're allowing 25 patrons in the building right now. So that's one of them. There will be someone at the door, and we do have a schedule. It'll be myself. It'll be we'll have Bob Rossetti volunteer his time that he would be a monitor for a while, and Kathy Bell Harney and Suzanne and Tracy, I believe Vicky as well, that we would be at the door. And we're looking at two things. Number one, making sure that capacity is set. Number two, if you're going to enter this building, you need to wear a mask unless you're under the age of 2. If you do say you do have a medical condition, we don't want to turn you away, but we also, at this time, don't want to bring patrons into the building without a mask. Other libraries are doing this too. One of the reasons is everyone's on edge as is, and I think seeing someone walking around the library with no mask on, that might be an issue. They may legitimately have a medical condition, but still, I just don't want to run into that. So if they do not have a mask and they do have a medical condition, we will offer curbside service or printing. And we've been doing that already, mobile printing, if they need something printed, and we bring it out to them. Next bullet point talks about facial covering. There will be signs plastered all over the library. And I do want to thank Karen, who came up with these incredible signs. She is still pumping them out every day. We needed some additional signs today when it comes to the bathroom, and we have social distancing. And I know I sent a couple of links, and I can send more. They're fantastic, So we have plenty of signage. We have one that the sign says "Browse with your eyes." So we're trying to, patrons can still go in the stats, but we do ask that instead of touching every book, to browse with your eyes at this time. As of right now, all the Frank's Community Room, the Fuller Room, Storytime Craft, Shooter Room, they're going to remain closed until further notice. Let's see what happens, come September. Let's see. One item here, the next bullet point, and Margaret even talked about this a little more, is recommending one adult patron per family in the children's department. I know the children's room, that's going to be difficult. And just hearing from other libraries that are open, they are doing the same thing. And so far, families have complied, which is nice to hear. But that's, I don't know, Margie, if you wanted to speak a little bit about that bullet point.
Sure. We know that certain families might not be able to comply with that. But because they can't leave the kids home by themselves, or like if there's a caregiver involved who has, children they're taking care of, they're not going to leave the kids outside or at home. So, so we do know that we will be seeing kids, and that's fine, but children need to be able to wear a mask, or a facial covering, and to be able to obey social distancing rules. If families are in a position where they have, say, very young children, like under the age of 2, who can't wear a mask and so forth, also, we don't want to turn them away, but, so we would be happy to help them through curbside service as well.
So thank you, Margie. The next bullet point is actually one that was updated today. And we will have public computers available on the first floor in our adult section or adult area for 30 minutes. We do have the computers socially distanced. So we have, in the main area where you have 15 computers, we have it so there are 5 that are available. And then off to the side, to the right of the reference desk, we have 2 available for patrons. Again, they're more than 6 feet apart. There will be plenty of hand sanitizer. We have wipes, we have disinfectant, and that's part of the cleaning schedule that I know I sent out as well. But for patrons as well, using the hand sanitizer. We will have available OPEX as well for patrons to check items to see if they're available in the catalog. We're doing delivery right now, so we are getting items from other libraries in the sales network. However, we're still not receiving items from outside the sales network, but that's coming soon. Another one, no programming or tutoring. Again, quiet studies. Quiet studies, we're trying and encouraging patrons for 30 minutes or less at this time. Programming and tutoring is just social distancing. We're trying to keep that. Cleaning lodge for staff, which is attached. Signage throughout all the floors. I mentioned about patrons and staff must wear facial coverings at all times. We do have markers down for 6 feet when it comes to, and Margie did it up in the children's area at the circulation desk, so it's 6 feet apart. And now it is for the bathrooms on the ground floor. We're going to turn off the self-checkout machines at this time, just because that's another thing where patrons would have to be touching the screen, and staff would have to go over with some sort of cleaning, disinfectant to wipe the screen down. If things are working out, then we can turn those on, but just at the start, I just like to see how things run before we make additions. Rather be safe than sorry. Money transactions will be allowed, and that includes lost items from the Friends bookshop as well, museum passes, DVD rentals, new library card applications. So Kathy Lowy did ask circulation downstairs, and I know Margie did upstairs, and children, and they were fine when it comes to handling the money, museum passes, new card applications. Fines will be waived until further notice, and that was actually recommended from the state, part of their checklist. Just at this time, right now, everything is all out of sorts, and Margie can attest to that right now. Everything, fines have been, the due dates have been extended to some libraries. Some libraries haven't even started curbside yet, so it's just kind of all out of sorts right now. Though patrons with fines previous to March 16th, they'll be obligated to pay them. We were still open. Restrooms will be open to the public. I know this has been a hot topic for some libraries, and I spoke to Pauline, and if we're open, we have to have our bathrooms open. So they will be open to the public. Staff does have part of their cleaning list of cleaning like a safety rail, and a lot of our, when it comes to the bathroom, a lot is all battery operated when it comes to the hand washing and the paper towels, so we're good with that. Pets will be open to the public. Staff will disinfect equipment before use by another worker. We will have hand sanitizer stations throughout every floor. Staff has hand sanitizer, self-disinfecting, gloves, and facial coverings. Our facilities has been giving us gloves and masks, which has been great. The cleaning crew, actually, I just had a meeting with them. They're going to do another deep cleaning this coming weekend. Everything, railings, everything, the carpet. They're going to go to town on it, do a really, really deep cleaning. Then the last bullet point, this was just, mentioned, and it's, kind of, I'm seeing this as a boilerplate with other guidelines from other libraries, but if a staff member tests positive, I do have to notify the Board of Health, and be recommended that other workers be tested with guidance from the Board of Health. The library would have to be shut down again for deep cleaning with current CDC guidance. So those are my guidelines. Again, this is the guidelines that you see here. Things may have to change. We're not going to know until we actually open up the library. So I had staff look at the guidelines. They gave me some valuable input when it comes to it. And this evening, I was just hoping that we could get a vote with a possible reopening of the library. But I will take any questions or concerns that you may have, and Margie's here as well when it comes to children.
Questions for Manny and Margie on the plan? Hey, Catherine.
You're welcome.
Manny, if I could I have you walk back through the logic behind the 10% and 20% capacity, the 36 and 72 people, what the capacity would have been at 40% again? Can you just run through the numbers with me again? And along with that, how much of that capacity is taken by staff versus folks for the public?
Okay, so the capacity of our building, and we subtracted the community room and the fuller room and the storytime craft room because they are essentially closed to the public. The total capacity of the building would be 357. And
in a normal operating
correct
environment.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
A year ago, we could have 350 people in the building. It wouldn't be an issue.
Okay.
So the Mass libraries had occupancy calculations, and actually this was on the governor's reopening phase 3, and the library would need to determine, I'm just going to read this out, which calculation they'll use for occupancy. Up to 40% of the building's maximum permitted occupancy or 8 persons per 1,000 square feet. So if we take the 40%, that would come out to 143 patrons in the building. At this time, I just think that's way too many people to allow in the building. Staff still needs to, like I said, get their sea legs. I need to get my sea legs and see what happens. So what I was recommending is basically a slow start, a gradual increase. So I was looking at starting at 10%, which would be 36 people in the building. Now, if you factor staff in there, that's probably about 8, 9, 10 staff. Let's just say 10, just to have the high number. So we're looking at 26 patrons in the building.
For the first week.
For the first week. And if everything works out, then we could increase it to 20%, which would be 72. So then we'd be looking at...
minus your 9, you're looking at, again, 63 people being in the building.
Yeah,
from
I
the
didn't want
public.
to go any higher yet. I want to see how things work out,
So that's helpful for me. Thank you. I appreciate walking through the numbers. So with that, as the proposal is listed here, you say 72 people until further notice, assuming that week one is a success. Can you talk to us about what makes it a success in week one that would make you move to the week two statistics, and then B, what would you need to see based on the 72 people head count to make any recommendations about changing that, or are you planning to make those recommendations? What's the process by which you'd be going through to extend beyond 72?
So as far as going from week one to week two, it would depend on staff. I really want to I worry about the safety and security of the patients, but also the staff, because the staff is, especially circulation, that's the front line. So if staff, especially circulation, or when it comes to children, if they're overwhelmed the first week and things are still a little dicey, I got to see what happens. But if staff doesn't feel comfortable going to that next percentage, 20%, I would rather just stay at that until they feel comfortable. Because if they don't feel comfortable, and I just say, all right, we're going to let 73 people, here we go. There may be issues, there may be, and I don't want that at this time. Like I said, everybody is kind of on edge as is. I don't want to add any more stress than what, going on in the world or going on in, at whatever. So I'm more of a safe than sorry as far as exceeding that. Personally, I wouldn't even think of that until maybe we meet again, and if we have to be in August or September. I just want to see how things go.
So would you be looking for us to vote a difference from the 36 to the 72, or would you be looking for this plan to put that in place at your discretion?
At my discretion, and like I said, I definitely wouldn't do anything to harm staff if they feel comfortable and they need maybe another week to get everything all situated. I would rather go that way. Again, I want staff to be, I want them to feel safe and not losing it, when it comes to just allowing another 30 some odd people into the building.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
So I have the same question, if you will. This is helpful. Thank you. I have the same question with respect to going from 72 to 143. Would you be expecting that you would need to come back to us for that vote to go from 20% to 40%?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you envision that in your head whether or not you would have to do any staggering in between there? I mean, for example, do we have to go to 20% to 30%, 30% to 40%? I guess maybe you'll know that better once you see how it's proceeding.
Yeah, I need to see how everything works. I mean, this evening, I'm just looking at the highest would be 20%, and we may not meet again until our regularly scheduled meeting in September or maybe sometime in August. And you know what, by then, maybe things, we're not comfortable to go to 30% or 40%. Maybe things are going well at the 20%. So I would definitely come back to the board to go in any sort of increase.
So that's helpful. So as I hear it, from what you're proposing here, you would be capping yourself at a 20% occupancy rate until such time as you came back to the board to have a conversation about next steps.
Yes.
Okay. I have a follow-up. That's helpful. Thank you. I have a follow-up question on that as well. Is a week enough time to have data for your 10% capacity versus the 20% capacity? Governor Baker has done everything with 2 weeks worth of data at a minimum.
Oh yeah, I mean, we may have to go 2 weeks. It's so hard to predict right now because, maybe even after day one, we may have to go 2 or maybe 3 weeks at the 10%. I just have to see how things roll. I spoke to other directors in the network and outside the network that have opened to the public, and things have run smooth. The only issues they have run into is patrons not wanting to wear a mask, and we're not even worried about that. I did speak to Chief Grace, If there's anyone giving us any hassle, just to give them a call. We have panic buttons, and they'll handle that. We're not, staff nor myself are going to be dealing with any of that right now. We'll just have the police handle it if there's any issues when it comes to that. But you're right, Kevin. I mean, we may need 2 weeks. You may need only 9 days, or who knows? It's all up in the air.
I do have other questions, Colin, but I'm happy to wait until other people have a chance to go.
Gee, Catherine, do you have additional questions?
Not at this time.
Okay. Janice, any questions you have representing our friends?
I was just wondering, Manny, on a typical day, like during the hours that you're going to have the library open, 10 to 5, any idea what a typical number of people in the building had been?
I do have the numbers near me, but I can't say during the summer, and Margie can attest it, it's pretty crazy here, especially the children's room. It's pretty crazy with summer reading. So this is our busy season. And I know Margie has said it, and I've heard it from staff. We've received calls from patrons, can't wait till we're open.
Yeah.
So, oh yeah, they're going to be banging down the door. So this is a very busy library, which is great. And summertime it's pretty crazy.
I think you are fortunate, though, the way we have a big library, it's spread out on 3 levels. You know, when you look at that, if you have it talking about 25 people dispersed on three levels, hopefully that will make it better. You know, not everybody's going to be, those people aren't going to be all congregated. You can spread out pretty good in the library. So hopefully that will help.
Very true.
I didn't have any questions. Well, the question I had was around the 10 to 20%, what success looks like. So Kevin's clarifying questions addressed what my same thoughts were. So Kevin, I'll hand it back to you with your further questions.
Thanks. I just have one other I just want to explore with you, Manny, and just get really more of an understanding for me than anything else. The bullet that talks about money transactions, lost books, friends bookshop, rentals, museum passes, and new library card applications being allowed. Can you talk to us about how this compares to other libraries that are open? Is this something that you're seeing among the sales network or other regions, or is this something that we're sort of on the cutting edge of? What are the benefits to doing this for us? And just want to make sure we've explored the detriments as well.
Well, I can say the Richards Library in North Attleboro, the Somerset Library, now the Easton Library, they just opened, and the Seacomp Library, they are open, and they have been handing out museum passes. They have been handling new patron registration. What's happened during this time, our patrons that wanted to use our resources, they were able to get a temporary library card. Now that will be expiring next month. So what they need to do is actually come into the building and apply for an actual library card. And during this time, and Margie can agree with this, we do get, especially when it comes to the children or when it comes to the summer reading program, we do have a lot of students coming in that maybe haven't had a library card in forever, and they have to apply for a library card. So staff would have to handle the application. Also, these other libraries are handling money transactions. Some staff have worn gloves, some have immediately gone and washed their hands and then came back to their workstation, or used hand sanitizer after every transaction.
So then if for the museum passes, for example, since those are being returned to the library after use, are they not?
Yeah, most of them are now like tickets that you would just give to them and they don't have to bring back. The only ones that I can think of are the state parks pass, and there might be 1 or 2 others. But mostly now it's just a ticket and you just give it to the patron and they keep it.
So for the state parks pass, thank you. So for the state parks pass, that would be sanitized in the same way that any item in the collection would be returned?
Yes.
So
And we-
that would sit on the shelf for, in the COVID containment area for 72 hours, or, whatever the protocols are as we have them for returning catalog.
Yeah, we have multiple passes when it comes to the state park passes, and now there is actually a new study that came out when it comes to paper passes. It seems like there's a new study every week when it comes to quarantining items in the library. So now they're saying 24 hours. But we've been doing 72 when it comes to all materials, and actually, Mark, we can talk about that. Another study came out today where they're recommending any sort of glossy materials and board books 4 days.
So that means, in theory, right, if we have multiple DCR state park passes, we could, pre-COVID, we could have given out 2, 3, or 4 of them if we had them for the same day, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this circumstance, if we were to apply the 72-hour hold, if you will, we will be minimizing the number of those that are available to go out in any one time, as part of the. So we're doing those on a reduced use
Yeah.
as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that something that needs to be clarified in this policy for application?
We could add that in there. I mean, that could just be a little addition when it comes to, that's really the only one. I mean, we had the protected Red Sox, but that's not happening this year. So,
Stadium is very available right now.
Yes,
People
it
can, it's a historic landmark instead of an actual activity now. Yeah.
yeah.
I don't want to get down too into the weeds with my commerce suggestion, but with those museum passes, can those just be cleaned like any other surface? I mean, if it's a laminated thing, clean and put it back in circulation like you would the computer or anything else like that?
I know some libraries have actually used the whites. Ours are laminated.
Yeah.
And we could use the whites, or we could just have them in quarantine. Like I said, now there's new studies almost every week when it comes to library materials, and it's from different organizations. We could do either one.
Yeah. So just a suggestion, leave it to you and the team to figure out how you want to proceed one way or the other. But if there's something that's easy enough to clean, similar to any piece of equipment or furniture in the building, and put that back in use for the community, to do that. But from my perspective, your discretion on how you want to manage your materials and such.
Yeah, as long as the staff feels comfortable. That's my main concern. If they're uncomfortable, absolutely.
Picking up on one of Kevin's questions, that in terms of the fees and such, does that represent a material impact on finances to forego those for this long?
Normally our fees go right back to the town. But not one library in sales are going to be collecting fees at this time. We have a weekly directors meeting, and we've all, almost like a little agreement where none of us are going to be doing fines until, like I said, there are some libraries like Freetown is one of them. They're not even offering curbside yet.
Yeah, I don't disagree with the sentiment of the policy. I just want to understand from a fiscal management standpoint what kind of impact that may or may not have. That's material. If it goes back to the town, doesn't touch our budget.
No, it goes right to the town.
Okay.
Colin, I have no other questions. I would want to recommend a couple of changes to the policy as proposed.
Okay. Just one more question, just putting our town stewardship hats on. What is that amount in general that we are not passing on back to the town per month? I know it's going to ebb and flow during the year.
Yeah. Hold on for 1 second. This is actually one of the times where I can actually reach over to my file tab. I can give you the numbers, what it was last year, and just kind of give you a rough estimate.
Yeah, that'd be helpful. We're making a decision with the town's money now, so I think it's our responsibility to ask the question.
This is when the state statistics come in handy.
This is Colin. While Manny's looking that up, I would just note that overdue fees is a subject that comes up in multiple libraries from time to time. It's certainly not on our agenda tonight, not something that I think we would be in a position to make any determinations on, but the appropriateness of overdue fees and whether or not the library, the overdue fee itself, yes, it is a deferral to the general fund. But it is a building operated determination. So I do think that there is some jurisdictional leeway there for us to make a determination on whether or not we would want to issue overdue fees at all as a philosophical issue.
Yeah,
Right?
I agree. I agree
Okay.
in this current scenario, but also more broadly.
Yep.
But I just think it's because there is a monetary impact. We should ask the question and be sure we know what that is before we.
I totally agree. No debate there on my part. I just wanted to make sure that we were all clear that we are not beholden to or mandated to have overdue fees as a library by the town. But yes, there certainly would be an implication if we were to make a change with respect to our standing policy.
Cool. Thank you.
So last year, the fines totaled $9,232 for a whole year.
Okay. All right.
Under
That's helpful.
a grand.
I think when you make that a monthly cost and you assess the risk to the staff and the community for those exchanges of funds, and the whole philosophical thing notwithstanding, I don't have any concerns. Not that we have to vote on it, but just voicing an opinion on that. So, any other questions before? I know Kevin has some edits he'd like to see reflected. Other questions, Kevin?
Okay. I mean, my recommendation for edit here is goes back to the numbers and the occupancy, and I think is hopefully straightforward. I would maintain that the library should be at 10% capacity for no less than 2 weeks, or until such, and after which time, subject to the director's discretion with input from staff, raising it to 20% if that's so appropriate at that time. That way, it's not as nebulous. I do think it's important for us to have more than 5 business days worth of data and comfortability. You're going to have sort of a soft open. I think it's okay if that takes, personally, I think it's okay if that takes place for more than 5 business days. The fact that the door will be open at all is a victory. So that would be, I think, my principal recommendation. My other one went to the museum passes, that those be, that those be returned for those that are returned, and then recirculated in the same manner as the catalog and collection.
Okay, that sounds good. Can we take a vote with those edits? Having spoken to those, or do we need to vote on a amended document?
We would need to vote the amendments and then the overall motion.
Okay.
So those, I would move to make those 2 changes.
Okay. Second, moved by Kevin, second by Catherine. Any questions or discussion? All in favor of accepting the amended or suggested amendments? And now give a motion on the document and the policy as a whole. Motion by Kevin and second by Christine. Any questions or discussion? All in favor?
I guess before we vote, my only question would be, Manny, do either of those pose particular problems for you?
Not at all. No, the points you brought up, Kevin, are fine. I have no issue doing the 2 weeks. Again, I'm very flexible when it comes to this. I want staff to be safe. Okay?
Same here. Yep. Agreed. Sorry, Colin.
That's all right. All right. So voting on accepting the policy as amended, we have a motion, a second. All in favor? There's the hand. Couldn't see him second. Come on. All right, there we go. Looking forward to having patrons back in the library. My thanks and congratulations to many of the staff for getting to this point. I know congratulations is kind of odd in this challenging time, but it's a lot of work went into this, and a lot of resourcefulness, perseverance, and so it'd be great to have the 25-ish patrons back in the building and taking part in what everyone does such a great job there.
Colin, it feels like ages ago when we were at Town Hall talking about the young adult position, and that was only February. And Margie and I joke about it all the time. When we closed down, Margie and I were like, "Oh yeah, by June we'll be back. Everything will be back."
Everything will be back to normal by then.
We're getting closer. We're getting closer.
Yep. First step. Anything else before we adjourn? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Penders, second by Ms. Uden. All in favor? There we go. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Manny, Margie, Pam.
Thank you.
Thank
Good luck.
you.
Looking forward to hearing about the opening.
Stay well, everybody. Thanks.
You too.
Bye.
Be well.
Good night.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your summer.